Late night, they ain't getting no rest. Work so hard, people think I'm obsessed. Cream at the crop, won't settle for no less. Headed to the top, but needed some focus. Yeah, gorilla of the jungle, I've been beating on my chest. I learned from the struggle, it was all just a test.
Hey guys, and welcome back. So today we're going to update one of the stocks we just bought this past week. So we're going to take a look at Tesla. Flipping over to the chart here, what we saw this past week, essentially just a lot of drama between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. We saw Tesla stock dropping 15% that day to a high of minus 17%. So basically within the Telegram group, all we did is we recognized this was just FUD. It was emotional overreacting. It was people that weren't really trading with the right mindset. You know, they got scared by the news. They thought everything was going against Elon and Tesla. And we've already bounced from a marked support zone that we talked about within the Telegram group. So all we've done is we ignore the FUD. It's just kind of that kind of news. It doesn't affect the underlying business of Tesla. Tesla is still going to be a dominant player when it comes to EVs. When it also comes to the robo-taxi business in the future, they're going to have quite a presence in that market. So all we did is we recognized the FUD. We do know the fundamentals remain strong, and we had a nice opportunity to enter this position down here. So previously very extended on this run. I always talk about not chasing things like this. We can look at this move from this low here to the high. That was a 66% move. So you're not chasing this here, especially as we're coming into resistance, because essentially there's this theory that price follows the narrative, narrative follows price, not the other way around. So we see here though, this news around Tesla definitely did kind of increase the selling pressure. We kind of saw, a bit of profit taking right around here, but then this big uptick in selling volume coming in right around that Elon and Donald Trump news. Their little arguments there, they're kind of starting to patch things up. I did expect this to not really materialize into anything meaningful, so I just took it as a buying opportunity. Looking over here at our investment tracker, we're doing really well. Previously on this last dip, we did get stopped out of a couple positions. That's okay. My MSTY, we were essentially just using this as a yield farming strategy. So we realized the 10% dividend on this, and we got stopped out at our entry price. So no risk there. We realized 10% profit on that trade. And then here on Palantir, we also got stopped out. That it was just looking a little bit overextended on the charts. It has bounced from where we got stopped out, but that's okay. We realized 26% returns on this trade, and we took the capital that we had invested in this and we put it into Tesla on that dip. So I'm going to go over to my Telegram here and just show you, this is what I talked about. You can see here, price was currently $315. We were sitting above that Fibonacci support zone, and I said 250 to 300 is that golden zone. Look at all this confluence of support that I highlighted, and we just see that buy order block, swing breakout support, VRVP, Fibonacci golden zone, 50-day moving average, all stacked in this area. It made pretty obvious sense if you're a Tesla bull to be adding to your position down here, and that's exactly what we did. And now we're sitting in profit of 14% again. So even though we got stopped, even though we got stopped out of Palantir on that trade there, it's okay, because with the returns from our Tesla trade, we're actually up more than we would have been if we just held Palantir. So 39.8% here, as opposed to the 40.4% that we are currently up from taking our profits out and putting it into Tesla. And when you look at the two charts, I do think Tesla looks a little bit more undervalued than Palantir. I'll flip over to Palantir really quickly. You can see Palantir is at all-time highs, basically resistance, whereas Tesla is a little bit more beat down, and they were especially beat down in this zone down here. So it made a lot of sense to me to get that little position here here, nibble on that. So I started that dynamic DCA. That's kind of, as I've mentioned it before, you buy a little bit at the start of a zone and then you increase your buys as it drops to lower targets. So I was aiming under $300. 300 is where I started my buying, and I bought all the way down to 275 with an average cost basis of $285 per share across those buys. So not quite nailing the bottom again, but capitalizing on a quick little move to the upside. And things are starting to look really good here for Tesla. When we look at our moving averages, you can see here, look at these moving averages start to curl up. So we're getting our low time frame moving averages curling up, and we're getting our 50-day moving average here. That's also starting to curl up. That's a bullish setup. We want to see this continue into that hopeful golden cross, and maybe we see price come back, retest. We want to look for that higher low in through here. So next step we're going to look for is that low time frame Fibonacci and see if we have confluence of support. So we take it from this. If this is the current high right now, the next entry, assuming we're going to maintain the higher lows and the uptrend, is going to be around $292 to about $300. So if you missed this previous entry in here, you could look to still add to your position down to about 290, and you're still ending up pretty close to what my average cost basis was across the accumulation in this zone here. So that's why I say don't worry if you've missed an entry on the near term. Lots of the times you're just going to get additional confirmation, which means lower risk if we get that continued higher low within this region here. So don't worry if you miss this entry down here. A few percent means nothing in the long scheme of things. We're going to continue looking to take advantage of these opportunities, but we can kind of see that there is a little bit of a trend line here that we're going to have to contest, and we're facing this resistance in through here. So I do expect us to come back, retest this support on the lower time frame, and yeah, a nice big buy or sell volume in through here, but buyers stepping in to buy the dip. So good to see there. Let's take a look at our 4-hour momentum indicators. We can see the RSI got that bullish cross. We're looking like we're going to get that bullish cross on the MACD. The histogram is looking quite oversold, like it wants to flip green. We're seeing our vortex indicator, that negative bearish dominance kind of coming down here. We're not seeing the gold or the big money buy indicator flashing on the 4-hour, but when I flip to the daily chart, I'll show you something interesting there. And in terms of our S&P pair strength here, so that's the strength of Tesla against the stock market, is starting to turn up. We kind of were in this red territory during this downtrend, but turning back up, and we want to see that flip green and support that broad trend to the upside. So let's take a look at the daily here. It's going to look a little bit different. And we see here coming down to almost to that oversold territory. MACD starting to curl up, bullish momentum picking up on the DMI, bullish momentum picking up on the vortex indicator. And look at this sharp move up here. So a little bit of weakness again in the S&P pair strength, but angling up pretty aggressively, flipped green, looking good. And we also see we've got big money buy orders coming in here. So this tells me there was this typical downtrend. So we had a big run up, distribution, people taking profits, big downtrend, crash in the market, and then we saw right in through here. So right through here, this is where the kind of the smart money was really accumulating Tesla. So we can see from the start of this yellow gold bar to the end of this one over here, that's going to give us that range of where the big money was accumulating. And we can see here, we'll take this, I'll make it a little bit less visible for you guys, and we can see essentially big money was buying Tesla even up to 366, down all the way to that 225 mark, putting in those lows. So getting our buys in right here, we're actually in the lower part of this overall range where the smart money was accumulating, and we're still within it. So if we're going to continue this leg to the upside, if the market's going to give us that push past all-time highs where we come back, retest those highs, we hold them as support, and we get that likely continuation, that likely another leg up in the market, then watch for this to kind of come back, retest these levels, hold that support. As long as we're holding this higher low support, we have the opportunity to continue up. This is the next trend line that we need to break out of, and we've also got this VRVP resistance right here. So there's going to be a little bit of chop within this zone here, but as I said, watch for that kind of pattern to play out, watch for the higher lows, and make sure that our momentum indicators are looking good on the lower time frames when we come back to those levels. So we'll just continue watching this. We want to see a bullish setup on the Vortex and the Directional Movement Index, and we want to see it supported by the RSI and the MACD. But when it comes to that big money buy indicator, it is interesting to note this was that accumulation range. We're sitting kind of right below the middle of that range, so not a bad time even to be DCAing. That being said, you should have been buying on the FUD here. So with strong fundamental companies with FUD, the same thing just happened with Tempest AI actually. So a short seller kind of put out this report attacking Tempest AI. They dumped about 20% that day. Nothing changed about the fundamentals. This was from a company that they're benefited by the price going down. They take out a short position, they attack the stock, and they reap the reward on the downside. We ignore that. We focus on the fundamentals, and the FUD is just a buying opportunity for us. And if you're unsure what I mean about FUD, I just mean fear, uncertainty, and doubt caused by different kind of events in the market, different news. So we just pay attention to the fundamentals, and we follow the charts, buying strong companies when it makes sense technically and from a valuation perspective. So sitting nice in profit with those buys on Tesla, potentially looking to add to that position under 300 again, down to about 290. But if we break these lows, that's going to be a warning signal. You might want to have a stop loss just underneath that, because that kind of could mean that further downside. We still could come back and retest the lows over here, but it is interesting to note the last time we saw these 4 bars flash gold was over here in kind of April, during this phase here. So we can kind of see a similar downtrend breakout. We had this little consolidation phase, and then we got this move up, this initial move. So this is going to be that opportunity. I think we're looking at a similar type of pattern over here, just to show you. We've got the downtrend. So downtrend, breakout, back test, holding the moving averages, and then continuing up. Right here, we've got our downtrend, breakout, back test, and then a little move up. So similar to over here. But we need to continue holding this. So we could be due for a bit of consolidation within this range over here before hopefully getting our next leg up. And then we're going to look to hopefully break past this 375 target and then attack these upper targets here. So we could look to take a little bit of profit, or at least protect some profit on our Tesla position if we get up to here. Otherwise, I'm happy with those buys. I'm going to look to add to that position. That's kind of my thoughts on Tesla right now. Another good catch, another great trade, and we're always looking for more opportunities. So despite the fact we got stopped out of Palantir, we took that capital, we put it to work, and we're actually outperforming if we had just remained in that previous trade. And we've taken a little bit of risk off the table because I think Palantir is quite a bit more extended than Tesla from a technical perspective. So that's it for the Tesla update today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.